Today across Central Oregon, it has been pleasantly warm. We've seen a whole lot of blue in the sky, not much in the way of cloud cover, and there's a lot less smoke draped over the high desert. Hey everyone, I'm Darrell Winninger, the Chief Meteorologist at Central Oregon Daily News, and across the high desert, we are about to go through some changes in our weather pattern. Some of those changes include more smoke from fires that we're continuing to track. Other changes include a warming trend with our next chance of precipitation, albeit not a good chance of precipitation, but we're going to get into all that and more here through the next several minutes. It is time for a deep dive into your most reliable forecast, starting with just what we're seeing across the Pacific Northwest. There's a broad ridge of high pressure anchored out over the Pacific Ocean, and that's been in place through the last several days. Over the high desert, in the Pacific Northwest, we actually have some isobars that are tightly stacked up next to each other. And what that really means for us is winds this afternoon and evening getting a little breezy, but it is going to stay warm. More smoke is in the forecast, and a lot of this is being driven by that ridge of high pressure. But what we don't see yet is a plume of moisture that's going to work its way into the Pacific Northwest. And that's going to start because of a low that right now is over the Four Corners region in the southwestern U.S. As that low works its way into the Pacific Northwest, it's not going to bring us too much of a chance of rain. More cloud cover through the day tomorrow, maybe a few showers, possibly a few light thunderstorms in the highest elevations. But then by Friday and Saturday, that's when this shift in our weather pattern begins. That's when our next round of heating is expected, and that's when we could get some of these scattered showers. Now, any showers that develop are going to be tracking for the potential of thunderstorm activity as well. So let's get into it, starting with some cameras looking across Central Oregon. Traffic cameras, all courtesy of ODOT, don't show much at all. Roads are dry. They've been dry. I haven't even been using these cameras through the last several weeks because there's just not much activity going on to change it up. But what we see that's a little different is crystal clear conditions through most of the high desert. Then when we look at the bigger picture a little bit and focus on some of those cameras across Central Oregon that are pointed at the sky instead of the road, it starts to see a little bit different, a little bit of a change up. One thing that is quite noticeable is that smoke in several of these cameras, specifically the Lake Billy Chinook camera, and we can see that hazy view. And then a quick look at the Bachelor camera, the one right behind my camera. That's Bachelor overlooking Tumalo Mountain Bend. On the other side of that, you can see a thin layer of smoke. It looks then from this perspective, but if you're sitting in Central Oregon, that smoke is just over our head. Later on tonight, it will start to descend. And when we just focus on a few other cameras, we can still see that Bend camera near the ODOT tower, or at the ODOT tower, I should say, looking toward Pilot Butte. Hinkle Butte camera, Hampton Butte camera, Shantico camera, some of these show a little bit of smoke, specifically that Shantico one, and that's because of a couple fires that are continuing to burn to our north and our northwest. That smoke is just working its way through Wasco County, then into parts of eastern Jefferson and eastern Crook County, so just slightly removed from Central Oregon. And several cameras are actually pointed at the Roe Creek complex of Powell Butte, and the Grizzly cameras also pointed in that direction. You can just see that thick layer of smoke over parts of Central Oregon. That Grizzly Mountain camera looks like a little bit of a smoke plume there, and the Powell Butte camera looks like a little bit of a smoke plume right there as well. But actually, let's focus on just the Oregon Hazards Lab camera network. These cameras are spread all across Central Oregon and outside of Central Oregon, all courtesy of the University of Oregon, and that U of O department that has this hazard lab. They're the ones that put out these fire detection cameras. Now, what we don't see much of is too much in the way of smoke impacting our air quality at the moment, but these cameras definitely helpful for that as well. When we take down the cameras and add in not just the DEQ hourly average, but some of those real-time sensors courtesy of eSpace Labs, another local company right here in Bend, Oregon, owned and operated here. What it shows is that from about Maupin all the way through just outside of Metolius, there is an area of moderate air quality. That's the hourly average. Then a little further to the south, over Terrebonne, closer to Smith Rock, there's another sensor, a real-time sensor that's showing moderate air quality as well. So some of that smoke is starting to spread out. And even when we focus at a different network of air quality monitoring sensors, the purple air sensors, we see good good to moderate air quality through most of central Oregon. It's not until you get up towards Madras that it's starting to get close to unhealthy for sensitive groups, just not quite there. Right around Lake Billy, Chinook, and getting into Crooked River Ranch. But for the most part, we've actually had some pretty good air quality. There's a single sensor in Prineville that's showing hazardous air quality, but you got to remember with these purple air sensors, they are very sensitive. And so you need to take in the whole of what's going on around it, not just those individual sensors. So today, a lot better than it was just 24 hours ago, a lot better than it was this morning. This morning, Prineville started off with unhealthy air quality, even very unhealthy, that purple color as well, but not as bad at the moment. Tonight, we could see some change with that. So let's go ahead and go through a time lapse as of 7 a.m. Just looking at the hourly average, it shows that over Prineville, we have that unhealthy air quality. Worsened a little bit before it got better. Through this afternoon and this evening, mostly been good air quality. Now, there's still an AQ alert issued by the Department of Environmental Quality, the DEQ, and that's across most or all of Central Oregon and a good chunk of Central and Eastern Oregon as well, all because of this smoke from wildfires across, or I should say in and around our state. Some of the fires are in Washington that's putting the smoke in our air. But on top of that, there's also a new weather alert, a red flag warning. That's it was issued earlier today during the early afternoon, and it's going to be in place through this really 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Thursday. So it's not in effect yet. It will go into effect tomorrow, and it's mostly because we have that chance of some thunderstorms, and they'll be few and far between Thursday. By Friday and Saturday, not much better when it comes to coverage. In fact, some of us don't even get wet from this at all. Others could catch a few sprinkles, and there's a real threat of some dry lightning or some dry thunderstorms where not much of the rain actually reaches the ground, but lightning could spark some fires. Meanwhile, right here and right now, across most of the state, there's very little in the way of cloud cover. There's no precipitation in sight. In fact, the closest rain is over Washington, and that's mostly northern Washington. There is some scattered thunderstorm activity right through the Cascades of our neighboring state to the north, and some of those are, actually most of those are just slow movers, not really anything that is going to prompt the National Weather Service to issue any severe thunderstorm warnings, but they're up there. They're not rolling this way, but that could mean for some more fire starts up there, and that's going to be a similar situation to what we're going to experience through the next 3 days, the next 72 hours. Now, when it comes to enhanced satellite imagery, we already really saw this one. There's not much more to talk about, but our forecast model shows a couple different things. Number one, this is a high-resolution model, and so you're going to see some things on this one that we're not going to see on a couple of other models. And I even throw winds and the visibility products on there. So that's going to help us determine when and where we're actually going to get reduced visibility because of some smoke, and if any thunderstorms are expected through the next 24 to 48 hours. Here's what we got. Through tonight, we get some clearing. Some of that smoke settles back in across the high desert. By Thursday afternoon, a few more clouds, and notice there are a couple of cells that could be developing through the day tomorrow, and each one of these is going to have the potential of becoming a thunderstorm that's capable of producing abundant lightning. They're just going to be few and far between. By Friday, we get a little bit more of that chance and some of additional thunderstorm activity possible in better into Central Oregon, more into our Tri-County area instead of right around the fringe. But when it comes to relative humidity, this is important because this is what we're looking at through the next couple of days as well. It's very dry across Central Oregon, almost critically dry. We have 20s and 30s. This is all measured in percentages. And so with these very dry conditions and winds that are becoming breezy at times, add in that chance of some potential lightning, and any fires that start are likely to spread rapidly. That's why we have a red flag warning, and I would not be surprised if that red flag warning was either reissued or extended through Friday and maybe even Saturday as well. When it comes to high temperatures in the last 24 hours, 80s for most, 79 in Sun River, and most of the high desert's actually running between 2 and 6 degrees cooler than this time yesterday. That's the dip in temperatures we've been talking about. By tomorrow, we get one more of those, and as of right now, we're mostly in the 80s with some 70s on the map. So for tonight, temperatures go from this pleasantly warm feel through the 60s, the 50s, into the 40s for lows. By tomorrow, we start in the 40s, top out in the lower to mid 80s once again. very close to what we've had today. Now, 80s are expected. Sunshine is in the forecast, and even with the potential for some additional smoke, we still have very high UV intensity forecasts, and that's because smoke doesn't thin out the sun rays enough to warrant us bringing that down out of the very high range. However, by the time we get to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, more clouds are expected, and that could bring it down to high. And with those additional clouds, that's when we have a chance of some thunderstorms, really some showers, and any showers that develop we're going to be tracking for thunderstorm potential. In fact, between now and Saturday at 11 p.m., most of Central Oregon doesn't even get wet. Most of this is happening over Crook, Deschutes, and the Cascades. But as we go through that entire time frame, not only are we still looking at the potential for some smoke, but temperatures are going to be heating up to near average for this time of the year. That's right. Right now we're below average. But by Saturday and Sunday, mid to upper 80s, some low 90s expected, and that's when we carry that chance of some thunderstorm activity. But I'm going to do one more thing, something that I really wasn't planning on doing here because I didn't have it in the forecast, but I really wanted to look at some of that smoke forecast. This is from the High Resolution Rapid Refresh Model, or the HRRR, as we call it in the meteorology world. But what we're seeing is there's a couple different areas where these smoke plumes are originating. And one of those is the Austin fire, the other one is the Grasshopper fire, and the other one is the Roe Creek complex. Now, each one of those is already putting a lot of smoke in the air. Each one of those is already making it difficult to breathe across parts of Central Oregon, but each one of those is also flowing from the north to the southeast. So the northwest winds are pushing that smoke right over Crook County. That's one of the reasons why Crook County really hasn't had much relief. Today was good. Don't get me wrong. Started off unhealthy, became good to moderate, and right now we're still sitting good to moderate, but by 7 o'clock, more of that smoke starts to roll in. Here's how it plays out. Through the next few hours, more smoke moves over the high desert, winds taper off overnight, that smoke spreads out. As it spreads out, times of poor air quality are expected. Then, through the day Thursday, that smoke is sticking around. Now, where showers develop, that's going to help clear the air. That's some good news. But more smoke is still going to be pushed around our Tri-County area. And really what we need is a washout to help clear the air. And we need those fires to end. That's number two. But we're not getting a washout. In fact, through the next couple of days, this off and on smoke is expected. Some scattered showers are in the forecast. And when we look at the forecast model that we typically use on air every night, it actually helps us identify when and where that's going to happen. Very similar to the one that was the high resolution one. And this one shows not much in the way of showers or thunderstorms Thursday, but there is a chance. By Friday, a better chance of showers. And by Saturday, we keep that chance of rain in the planner. Notice each one of those days, the potential for thunderstorm activity is very low, but it's still going to be there. And with our surface fuels already cured and winds becoming breezy at times, it's the only reason I bring this up. Not to hype it up too much, but just to let you know, yes, there's a chance of thunderstorms. Yes, we are critically dry. And yes, if anything does start, it's likely to spread rapidly. But between now and Tuesday at 5 p.m., many of us across Central Oregon are going to get wet, just not quite everybody. Most of that happens Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, with another chance as we get into next week. Meanwhile, winds not as strong as they have been the last couple of days. Gusts up to 23 miles per hour. Actual wind speeds more like 8 to 16 miles per hour. And as we go forward we're at the peak of our stronger winds. And so through the rest of this evening, we have tapering winds, a gentle breeze overnight. By Thursday, a little breezy at times. By Friday, little breezy at times. Overall, we don't have a lot of action that's really going to be pushing through. Now, if any thunderstorms develop, those winds are going to be strong in and around those thunderstorm cells. So for tonight, expect 40s with a few 30s and 50s out there. By tomorrow, we're talking 80s across the map. A few 70s are possible, and a couple spots could venture into the lower 90s, but that'll be few and far between. Here's your 7-day planner. A heating trend sets up. I should just say a warming trend sets up, brings us into the mid to upper 80s. We stay there with a few 90s through Sunday, then those temperatures come back down. More ups and downs than our temperatures are expected through the entire 7-day planner, but we're all staying in the 80s with a few 90s possible as we get through this weekend. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, a low chance of showers, a few thunderstorms possible. By Tuesday, another chance of some showers, and that is going to trigger another dip in temperatures, keeping us below average for this time of the year by the time we get to Tuesday and hump day of next week. All that to say, there's still a red flag warning that's going to be in effect between 1 p.m. and 9 p.m. tomorrow. Other than that, here is a look at your weather headlines for this Wednesday, August 12th. Pleasantly cooler today. That's right, temperatures a little below average for this time of the year. We only lost about 1 to 6 degrees on average across Central Oregon. It's slightly cooler. But then we get that seasonal warming trend Friday and Saturday. During that same time, a chance of showers with a few thunderstorms. But as of right now, no precipitation in sight. Very little in the way of cloud cover across the state. That's the latest in weather. Join us tonight. We'll have the latest headlines and your most reliable forecast. See you then.